Okay, so this is my instructional video for how to cut your potato into perfect, kind of similarly sized shape and length strips. So the first thing that I'm gonna do is anytime I'm using a knife, I wanna grip the object with my fingernails. You can see how my fingernails have made kind of little holes that I'm gripping it. Then I wanna place the knife against my knuckles and just cut straight down. And the reason that I want to do this is to make sure that my fingers are not underneath the knife when I am cutting. Never thought you'd learn about cooking skills in science, but I actually taught cooking for several years, and this is the first thing that I would teach my students. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to trim off the side of my potato. This is for two reasons. Number one, so that I can rest it without it rolling around when I'm making my more precise measurements and cut. And the other thing is to get it in roughly a square shape to start, which is going to be easier to measure and cut. So now I'm doing the same thing. Again, I'm gripping my nails or the potato with my nails. My knuckles are touching the knife, and I'm going to cut down so that I've got a potato that is square on two sides. Now it's going to be even easier to do because now I can put the potato on the flat side when I'm cutting it. And again, I just want to trim off that other edge, and then I'm going to spin it around and do the same thing. And I don't have to measure these cuts right now because I'm just essentially trying to make the potato a square so that I can measure my more precise cuts next. So the next thing I'm going to do is cut the potato into slices that are 1 centimeter in width. So I'm just going to line up the 1 centimeter line at the edge of the potato and just make little marks kind of all the way up the potato so that I know where 1 centimeter is. And then when I've got essentially a rough line, I don't know if you can really see it, of kind of dot marks going up my potato, then I'm gonna place the knife on top of those dot marks. So it's kind of touching all of them. Okay, and then I'm gonna line my knuckles up with the knife and cut down from the leading edge, kind of alternating all the way back. And now I've got a nice slice that is approximately 1 centimeter in width. And this is probably, you might need 2 of these in order to complete your lab, but I'm just gonna move on to the next step. So once you've got 2 of these, the next thing you're gonna do is measure out lengthwise approximately 8 centimeters. So again, I'm gonna make a mark at the 0 and at the 8, and I wanna try and avoid using the ends for this particular one because the ends have skin on them, and so their osmosis is gonna be slightly different than the middle. So I wanna make sure I generally cut off the ends. And now I've got approximately a square-shaped potato shape that is approximately 8 centimeters, kind of all the way along. And this one's a little uneven, so I'm just gonna trim it a little bit. Okay, that looks good. Now I've got a square. So then the last thing I wanna do is I wanna cut this into approximately 3 1 centimeter lengths. So again, I'm gonna line up my ruler with the end, make a little dash everywhere there's 1 centimeter. I'm gonna do this again approximately in the middle so I can line my knife up. And then just almost at the end so I can do the same thing. Okay, now I'm gonna line my knife up with those cuts. Okay, gripping the potato so I can hold it steady. And now I've got essentially a rectangular shaped slice of potato. Looks like a really nice French fry that should be 8 centimeters in length versus 1 centimeter in width and 1 centimeter in height. And I wanna make 4 of these, 1 for each of my different salt concentrations. Perfect. Okay, so now I've got 4 essentially the same size potato strips. They're not perfect, but that's okay. They're pretty darn close. And because they're all the same size, they should have ideally the same surface area to be exposed to the water. So the only thing that's going to affect my result is the salt concentration of the water not having different surface areas for each of my potato strips. Okay, so hopefully that shows you how to safely begin your potato lab. Now you can go ahead and put 1 strip in each of your cups and see how their volume changes over the span of the experiment. And just a reminder to calculate their volume, you're going to take their length, which for me is 8 centimeters. Okay, then you're going to take their width, which should be 1 centimeter, and then their height, which ideally is 1 centimeter as well. You're going to multiply those together, so the volume of this particular potato strip is 8 centimeters cubed. Now, if you have cut yours a different length, you'll have to calculate the volume of yours before you start, and then the volume of the potato strips after you start.